I just wanted to remind you about Art Journal Lovers. If you've not become a member yet, don't forget to click that join button for lots of exclusive things that only members can have access to, like downloads and live sessions and lots of exciting plans in the future. Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and this is a really quick and easy page to create. So I'm starting off using one of the Collage Girl stencils, stamps. Dear, that's not a good start, is it? I'm using some black archival ink and I'm going to be stamping it onto a piece of transparency. And this is a piece of Dina's clear transparency. I do apologise, the camera keeps going in and out of focus as I'm moving my hands around. Stamping on the transparency, trying really hard not to smudge it. It did smudge a little bit, so you have to be really careful. Obviously the transparency, the surface of it is really smooth and slippy, and the slightest nudge and things will move. But it's really fun stamping onto transparency. If you've not tried it, give it a go. So then I was going to use these scribbly wings as well, and I started off thinking I was going to stamp them onto the transparency as well, and then decided to stamp them onto a piece of the ledger paper. So just spending a bit of time making sure I've got them inked. I think this is the first time that I'd used them. I came across these on eBay and it was too good to pass up. So initially I did stamp them onto the transparency, but then, like I say, I decided that they needed to be a little bit different. So I stamped them onto a piece of the ledger paper as well. So I'm just going to let those dry. You can dry with a heat tool if you're impatient like me. You can see that's called Scribbly Wings, that set, and it is what it says. You can dry with a heat tool as long as you're super careful. So then I'm going in with scribble sticks. I have applied a thin layer of clear gesso to this page. Isn't it funny as well seeing a page with a Christmas theme when it's not Christmassy time? That's very weird. So you can see that I keep my scribble sticks on my desk, and I have little pots just in front of where I work. I find that by keeping them there, I do reach for them more often. It's that thing, isn't it, of seeing your supplies. If you can see them, you're probably more likely to use them. So I'm going in with rainbow colours, and I'm laying down quite a lot of pigment, pressing on very, very hard. Ruby tangerine, lemon lime, this is turquoise. As I say, just adding lots and lots of colour onto the page, just to get that basic colour in place. And then once I've done that, I'm then going to go in and water activate it and just move that pigment around so there's less of those scribbly marks. I think this is blackberry. And also I can create that blend a bit better as well. And then fuchsia. Yeah, that lovely pink. I'm just pulling that right up to the top corner. So then once I've done that, I'm then going to go in and use one of Dina's big round brushes with some water. These do hold quite a lot of water, as you can see. Yeah, so sometimes worth just dabbing them on a piece of kitchen towel, paper towel, just to lift some of the water off, because they do get very wet. But they are such lovely brushes to work with. So you can see I'm just activating that pigment, moving it around, trying to get rid of those scratchy scribble marks that I've made using the scribble sticks, and aiming to kind of blend the colour one into another a little bit smoother. Okay, so here I'm just going back in. You can see that the bluey turquoise colour has kind of disappeared a little bit. It's sort of sunk into the page a bit. So I'm just going in and adding a bit more pigment just to brighten that colour a little. And then that's worked perfectly. I'm just pulling that back through round the page. And then my transparency is dry, so I was just looking at how that was going to work on my background, and this was where I decided that those wings needed to be on something different other than the transparency. So I'm grabbing a piece of the ledger paper and I'm going to stamp onto that. So this is a really nice background. So it's got the interest of the text and the fact that the paper isn't just white, it's that nice sort of creamy colour. So I'm just going to stamp those onto there. And then I can cut those out. Okay, so now you can see I'm just deciding I'm going to have to snip those in half so that I can pop one at either side of my figure like that. They work perfectly well, don't they? And I think much better now they're stamped onto that ledger paper too. So then I'm going in with the mantra stencil. I've recently bought myself another one of these because my other one had used it so much that because I don't clean my stencils off, I'm a bit naughty, I know. It's a very personal thing, isn't it? But actually, because this stencil's got quite small holes in it with the text, it had started to affect how good the text would come through when you stenciled, because it closed some of the holes a little bit as the paint had dried on it. So I've treated myself to a new one. I'll probably end up doing the same with this one because that's how I roll. So just using some white and adding a bit of text onto my background, and you can see that some of the scribble stick colour is coming through into the white paint. Doesn't really matter, I'm not bothered about that at all. So this is a stencil that I designed for Funky Fossil called Dots and Dashes, and I'm using again the white paint, and I'm just going in and adding some more marks onto my background. So you can get some of these stencils, they're still available on my website. I think I've still got some of the journal mark sets, stamp sets in as well. This is a piece of a collage paper that's also a set that I designed for Funky Fossil. It's a monochrome set, all in black and white, different patterns. I've also got a couple of these sets left on my website too, I think. And they're quite a nice weight of paper as well, lovely for using on pages like this. So I'm using this as my kind of grounding plate, I guess, at the bottom. I can't think of a better way to describe that. At the bottom of my page. So my figure is kind of going to be grounded by this at the bottom. I'm using some of Dina's ultra thick gel medium to stick my transparency image down, and I am going to put her going behind the paper that I've added onto my page. I'm just sliding her in there, and then I'm adding the wings as well. And then I'm just going to press that all down like so. Okay, so this is another stamp that I made for Funky Fossil. This is also on the journal marks sets that I've got a couple of on my website. This just helps to break up that background a bit more too. And I'm using acrylic paint with this, so obviously the reminder is that I'm using paint, acrylic paint on your stamps. You must clean them really well after. Otherwise, eventually, as happened with my stencil, you will ruin the stamp. So then I'm just adding a quote from the ledger paper, the typed ledger paper. So that kind of ties it in with the wings that are stamped onto. And then I'm using this really chunky bright neon pink Posca pen, just adding a few pops of pink on there too. And then a little bit of journaling along the bottom of the page where the collage paper meets the background. I'm just doing a little bit of emptying of my head. And there it is. There's the finished page. Nice, bright, colourful page with lots of interesting layers in the background. Quite a simple page to do. So I hope you found this inspiring. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.